Okay, well, welcome back everyone. It's Nicola Cairncross here, and I'd just like to apologise first for the people who are a bit distracted by this painting that's been lurking about down beside me for a little while. It's a painting I bought when I bought the hotel, and in those days you could go to art colleges on their end of year shows and buy really big canvases for not very much money at all, like 10, 20, 30 quid. Something like that. So if you're looking for artwork, as I was for a 12-bedroom hotel, do check out your local art college around the May, June, July time, because that's when they have their end of year shows. And you can find and patronise a local artist, which is rather good fun. Anyway, so it's sitting there until I decide what to do with it. I'm trying to decide whether I want it on my wall. If so, how am I going to put it up without ruining the walls on my flat? It's just going to sit there for a while. Just get used to it. And then one day it'll be gone. Anyway, so today I want to talk to you about branding. I've just been listening to someone talking about branding, and they were saying all the right things, that basically you need to get your branding right, because if you've got cheap branding, you're going to not appeal to the people who are looking for a more expensive product. And online, of course, branding is really, really important. But I don't believe it's more important than not getting started in your business. So here's the quick and dirty guide to branding. So if you're a graphic designer, cover your ears quickly. I absolutely believe in good branding. I absolutely believe in good design. But I also don't believe that you should do that before you start your business. You need to test whether your business is viable. You need to test whether your business is going to work. You need to test if anyone's going to buy what you've got to sell. And spending several hundred or £1,000 even on getting all your branding right, like a letterhead and a business card and all that stuff, then nothing drives me madder faster than hearing that someone spent a lot of money on that kind of thing. What I would say is, though, that you do need a logo, because you're going to need some way to make your website look like it's yours. And even if you use one of the brilliant website builders like Card, then you're going to need some sort of colour scheme at the very least. So if you're going to start with a logo, I would say just start with your favourite colours, and then go online and into Google, just type colour palette. And what you'll do is you'll find that you'll be able to put in your favourite colour, which you can pick from a photograph, and you can actually upload your favourite photograph, and if you generally love the colours in that photograph, and it will actually pick out a colour palette for you where the colours all tone together properly and they don't clash. So you can actually get a beautiful colour palette, and what you'll do is you'll get I think it's called the hexadecimal number. It's a string of numbers that generally start with a letter, and then you can actually, I think it's 5 or 6 digits, and then you've got a list of your favourite colours in a palette that really works together. We did this with one of my clients, Jane, who's got the Secret Art of Huna website. We actually picked one of her favourite pictures of Hawaii, and then we took the colour palette from there. As it happened, the first colour palette didn't work out. It was a little too muddy, if you like, when we came to build the website. We went with a fantastic picture of Jane in the end, where she was wearing a really beautiful tomato coloured jacket, and the colour palette that came up when we uploaded that photo was really pretty fabulous. So that's what we went with in the end. The thing I would do, though, is I would not assume that your favourite colours are going to work for your clients or your customers. One good way to test what you've come up with is to go onto Facebook and literally make a few logos on canva.com, and with them you can actually put in the word logo, and they'll show you lots of different logos, and you can actually choose one of them. Then you can upload your colour scheme to it and see what you think. And if you've got 3, never more than 3, okay, because it gets confusing if you do that. If you've got 3 that you like, you can actually upload them to Facebook, and you can actually say which ones do you prefer. But you've really got to bear in mind that the people who will respond are your friends and family, and they're not your potential future customers. So how do you go about testing what your potential future customers will prefer? What you need to do is you need to start a Facebook page or start a Facebook group, and depending on the kind of community you want to build, whether it's just literally purchasers or whether it's a community of people who want to interact with each other, and upload the Facebook header logo that you've created in Canva. And actually Canva's brilliant, because you can just say that you want to create a Facebook header and it will give you the right size, which is quite important because you can fiddle about for quite a long time with that one. And then really go for it with your preferred logo and your colours. And then once you've started your Facebook page or your group, then you can literally run some really cheap advertising to get likes for your page or members to your group. And if you're working with a name that does what it says on the tin, for example, clicks and leads, then you're going to get people liking and joining your group or your page, depending on what you're using. And they will only do that if they find it visually appealing when it's shown to them in their timeline. So that's quite a good way to find out what people think of the things you've chosen, because if there's a deafening silence, you know it's one of two things. It's either the name's rubbish or the colours are rubbish. So you can then go and change the colours, because you've obviously got your heart set on the name, and you can actually run the ad again for another week and see what kind of reaction you get on the second week. And what you're doing is you're just setting up a simple ad optimised for likes or optimised for people joining the group. So that's how I would go about it. Get some sort of initial feedback from friends and family, and then go and look for your customers online and see what they think about your choices. But don't let any of this stop you from doing the other things that you need to do to get your business going online, which is to start looking for your ideal customer, drawing up their characteristics, and perhaps looking for your ideal 100 first client list. Whatever you do whenever you're testing things is you must only test one thing at a time. My biggest problem in the early days of the Money Gym was I kept changing the website. Because I'd made the website and I had access to the website, I kept making changes. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a brilliant idea to make the website better from a marketing point of view, and I would just get up and change it. But you really mustn't do that, because you never know which change has made the difference. I was too impatient to track my tests. So what you must do is give it a decent amount of time. And the rule of thumb is that 100 is the magic number. 100 is always the magic number unless it's 3. Have you noticed? So you really need 100 people to see your ad before you can make a decision on whether the results are statistically sound. Or you need 100 visitors to your website, and that's going to be quite hard in the early days, because getting people to click to a website is a lot harder than getting people to click on a link on Facebook. But you must have a measurable outcome as well. You can't just work on clicks. You have to work on whether people take action, because otherwise the clicks you're getting might be the wrong kind of people. They might be people who are clicking because your logo and your heading is visually appealing, or they like the name of your business, which is offering them some sort of promise, but they might not be people who want to spend any money or who are willing to spend any money. So you've got to make sure that you're measuring your things you're testing against something that is concrete. For example, are they opting in for your mailing list, if that's the first thing you want them to do? Are they making a purchase of your first product, which is what you want them to do? So you really have to be very patient, and if it's taking you too long to get the results to your test, then I would suggest increasing the budget. You're not necessarily going to have to keep spending this amount of money, but if you want to test if you're not feeling confident in your own graphic design skills, well, I never feel confident on mine, but I do pick the colours, then I would seriously consider investing some money. It will be much less than going to a graphic designer and getting them to make a whole suite of products for you. Now, I'm not saying this is a long-term fix. I'm saying this is a short-term fix while you get your business off the ground. Obviously, once you're getting to a place where you really are getting to earn some decent money, I would seriously consider having a whole makeover by a graphic designer, especially one who specialises in web work. Because graphic design online is very different to graphic design offline. And of course, you've got to allow for the difference between looking at your website on a laptop and looking at your website on a phone. And I would suggest that most of your customers nowadays are going to be on mobiles. So you've got to have clear, clean colours so that they're easy to look at on a mobile. I know that my customer base is slightly older. I know they are looking at me at my website on a laptop mainly because my Google Analytics tell me that. So once you get some traffic flowing, you can actually go and look at your Google Analytics. You do have Google Analytics on your website, don't you? Because you need it to be able to tell these things. So do go and put it on straight away if you're getting traffic already, and get it on before you start paying any money for traffic, because it will tell you an awful lot about who is clicking on your ads, who is coming to your website, who is finding you on Google, and what actions they take once they arrive at your website, and whether they're on a mobile or a laptop. What else have I got to say about graphic design? Let's talk about graphic designers for a minute. Cover your ears, chaps, if that's you. I love graphic design. I love really cool, modern, funky graphic design. But often that is not the best graphic design for a website, and it's certainly not the best graphic design for my customers a lot of the time. One of my best friends used to be married to a graphic designer, and he worked on now that's what I call music albums for a long time, and then he worked at one of the big magazines, and then he was at the How to Spend It magazine. And his graphic design was always just that, very cool, very modern, very funky, very up to date. I absolutely loved the things he did. He designed all our album covers for us, but we never tested whether anything would be. The internet had only just been invented then. So as far as I know, we could have had a completely different album cover, which would have sold much better sitting on the racks, but we hope not. We hope that we chose the right ones, but we'll never know. I once won a complete makeover of my website when I was in Australia at one of my mentors' business conferences, and I could not believe my luck because I absolutely loved the work of the graphic design company offering a complete free makeover of your website. I had far too many pages for them to do the whole website, but they did about 5 or 6 pages for me, and then we got it made up. Now, it absolutely killed my traffic, which is a bit of a worry, really, isn't it, when you launch a new website and your traffic dies a horrible death. I can't say that it was the design that killed the website. It might have been the way that we installed 5 or 6 new pages to replace the high traffic pages on the website. But I actually paid their techie guys to do the installation. So theoretically, it should have been done in a way that didn't kill the traffic. But the traffic certainly died a horrible death straight afterwards. So I actually ended up abandoning that website and going to, that was NicolaCairncross.com if you want to go and have a look. Looks fabulous, but traffic, didn't like it. So I actually ended up using Clicks and Leads website much more often after that because I had complete control over it. That's the other problem, you see. Their techie people had set it up in such a way that I couldn't make changes, which is obviously what a lot of graphic designers, especially web designers, do, because they want you to come back to them to make the changes. So you've got a problem there. They've got you over a barrel and you have to keep paying for any changes. So when you are talking to a web designer, make sure that you ask them to design it on something like Thrive Themes, very popular software. The themes sit on top of the WordPress platform. So you've got to make sure they design it on WordPress, and then you've got to make sure they design it on a theme that is a commercial theme or that can be easily changed. And that's why I use Thrive Themes, because I know that I know how to go in and change anything. And I also know that if I fell out with a web designer, not that I've ever had one really, for any length of time, if I fell out with my web designer, I'd be able to go and find another web designer who is familiar with using Thrive Themes, because there are hundreds of thousands of them around the world. So these are all the things you need to think about when you're thinking about getting your website up and running, which is why I suggest you go with something like Card, C-A-R-R-D, I think it is, to start with, because it will have a lot of the decisions baked in for you. So you won't spend a lot of time deliberating, and you really just need a landing page that will enable you to get someone's opt-in or make your first sale. Ideally, tied to a mailing list so that you can follow up from that first sale. Let's just talk a bit about my graphic design on Clicks and Leads. I think the logo was designed on Fiverr, and it's nice and clean and white background with a sort of thin orange line around it, and the Clicks and Leads letters are modern and clean. And of course I've butchered it horribly because I took the orange out of it, and then I've made most of the website sort of quite dark and funky and a lot of orange. But I don't care, because they do what they're supposed to do, which is to make sales and convert people into mailing list subscribers. Now, I could go along and make it all look a lot more white and bright and modern, which is what my personal taste would be. But it would be a complete waste of my time right now, because it is working. Now, if I was going to be really, really good about this, I would create a mock-up of a new page in the style that I would personally prefer, and then I could then split test by running half the traffic from Google to one page, and then it would bounce half the traffic automatically to a second page, and then I would put the thank you page of whatever the action the person was taking on the page, so for example opting in or making a sale, I would put the thank you page as the conversion page in Google Analytics. And hopefully it would then tell me out of the 2 lots of traffic which page was converting best. Now, again, the problem is you need to have well over 100 people visiting that page in a short space of time to get any meaningful statistics. So as my traffic is not that huge from Google yet, and because I'm using YouTube mainly to send traffic at the moment, I'm just going to leave it as it is until the traffic becomes so meaningful that I really can't ignore it any longer. What about my YouTube branding then? I mean, that's something that is absolutely hideous. My friend's ex-husband would roll on his surfboard in horror because it really is quite in your face, and I realise that, but that's because I've tested. I started out in my video content marketing by making V-zines, and I'm actually going to flash up a few of the covers for those V-zines on the screen here now to show you what they look like. And they were much more my taste, they were much more restrained, they were much more laid back, and they were much more subtle. And of course they never got any blooming clicks, they never got any clicks to view, whereas the more hideous of my thumbnails right now are getting loads of clicks. And I'm learning the art of thumbnails because the art of thumbnails is very different to the art of graphic design. I do make them all on Canva, so it does make it quite easy, and I'm learning to layer and take off backgrounds and things, but I will not be transferring any of the thumbnail graphic design over to my website, that's for sure. And again, I did test, so some of the videos in the early days had very much more restrained thumbnails on them, and then I've actually gone and replaced some of the more boring ones with more thumbnails like I'm doing now, and it's had a profound impact on the amount of clicks that video gets. So I think the moral of the story here is start out, get started, do a little bit of graphic design, colour choice, don't use a colour palette that clashes horribly. Try and stick to something, quite regularly so you're not mixing and matching too much. And then test. There's always free ways to test. Google Analytics is a good way to test things. YouTube allows you to upload a thumbnail when you upload your video, and you can actually change that thumbnail at any time. So do feel free to test your thumbnails. In fact, go and have a look at some of your more popular videos and see what the thumbnail is for those. And then you might want to think about looking at some of your videos that you think should be more popular, but that aren't getting the clicks, and try a more in-your-face kind of thumbnail look on Canva and see what impact it has. It's never too late for old videos to make a comeback. I hope this helps. I hope it's helped a bit about getting your head straight about branding and logos and all that stuff. And yeah, any questions and comments, just put them underneath. And obviously I always like to get likes on my video. So if you've enjoyed this and it's been helpful, thank you very much for your likes, and I will see you tomorrow.